4:10 p.m., Pittsfield Township, Michigan. Police lights cut through the winter haze. Officers rush toward a quiet home just a few miles south of Michigan Stadium. A call has come in. An assault. Not random. Not a break-in. Someone inside knows exactly who they're dealing with. Minutes later, a man is led out in handcuffs. Sherrone Moore, the former head coach of the Michigan Wolverines. And at this exact moment, no one in the outside world knows what's happening. Not yet. Because 33 minutes later, the real bomb drops. Michigan announces that Moore has been fired, effective immediately. For cause, no buyout, no soft landing, a complete erasure of a $12 million contract. The official reason? Credible evidence of an inappropriate relationship with a staff member. That's not normal language. Schools never release statements like that. Not unless they want you to know something is very, very wrong. But here's the thing. This didn't start at 4:10 p.m. Not even close. Moore's downfall began months earlier. Warnings ignored. Violations stacking up. A man under pressure from the NCAA, from the Big Ten, from his own administration, and in the middle of it all, a secret that could bring down his career, the program, and his entire reputation. A secret the university thought was buried. Until the morning of December 10th, when the staff member at the center of the investigation walked into a campus office and revealed the evidence that would end everything. Within hours, Moore was fired. Within minutes of that, he was in police custody, and before the night was over, he was in a jail cell held without bond, with prosecutors reviewing potential charges. This wasn't a scandal. This was a collapse. Fast, violent, total. And it raised one question nobody in college football could ignore. How does a head coach go from national championship glory to jail in a single afternoon? Because Sherrone Moore didn't just fall, he detonated. Sherrone Moore had a problem, but in the summer of 2025, nobody wanted to believe it. Michigan opened an internal investigation into an alleged inappropriate relationship between Moore and a female staffer under his authority. Both denied it, separately, firmly, and with no evidence in hand, the university closed the file and moved on. But the whispers didn't stop. Agents heard things. Assistants heard things. People inside the Big Ten were already preparing for the Michigan job to open. Something wasn't right. Moore brushed it off. He kept coaching like nothing happened, smiling on camera, recruiting, running practices, even holding a bowl preview press conference just 24 hours before everything blew up. But behind the scenes, he was already under NCAA pressure. He'd served a suspension for contacting recruits during the 2020 COVID dead period. And worse, he was tied to the Connor Stallion sign-stealing scandal. Investigators recovered 52 deleted text messages between Moore and Stallions after Moore wiped the thread on the same day the story broke. That deletion alone triggered a Level 2 violation and a repeat offender label. This wasn't a clean record. This wasn't bad luck. This was a coach stacking red flags on top of red flags. And inside Schembechler Hall, staff noticed a change. According to sources, Moore started reprimanding assistants, acting erratically, snapping at people he normally trusted. He wasn't the calm play caller from Michigan's title run anymore. He was stressed, short-tempered, unpredictable. The cracks were widening. And then a new anonymous tip hit the university in mid-November. Another warning, another allegation. This time, leaders paid attention. Because something about Moore's behavior, something about the timeline, something about the silence around the summer investigation It didn't add up. The investigation quietly restarted. Moore didn't know it yet, but the fuse had already been lit. December 10th started like any other morning. But by lunchtime, everything Sherrone Moore built was seconds from collapse. Because the staff member at the center of the summer investigation, the one who denied everything months earlier, walked into the university offices. And this time, she didn't deny anything. She brought proof, not rumors, not suspicions, actual evidence of an inappropriate relationship with the head coach, her direct supervisor, a relationship Moore never disclosed, a relationship forbidden under university policy. Suddenly, the whole picture changed. The summer investigation wasn't a dead end anymore. It was a ticking bomb that just went off. The moment the evidence hit the desk, Michigan's leadership moved fast, faster than anyone expected. Phone calls started, regents alerted, compliance involved, lawyers looping in, athletic director Warde Manuel pulled into an emergency meeting, and inside that room, one thing became clear. This wasn't something they could hide. This wasn't something they could manage internally. The university didn't even wait for the sun to set. By mid-afternoon, the decision was made. Moore was informed privately that he was terminated, effective immediately. For cause, no buyout, no negotiation, no exit plan. A career wiped out in one meeting. But the day wasn't over, because while the university was preparing its public announcement, police were already on their way to a home just miles from Michigan Stadium, and Moore was walking straight into the worst hours of his life. "4:10 p.m., 33 minutes before the firing goes public. Pittsfield Township Police respond to a call, an alleged assault at a residence a few miles south of Michigan Stadium. The incident is described as not random in nature, meaning the suspect and the victim know each other. Police arrive, but Moore isn't there, so they widen the search. Saline police join, patrol units coordinate, and soon after, they locate him. Moore is detained, transferred back to Pittsfield Township officers, taken into custody for evaluation. And this is where rumors explode online. On X, screenshots flood timelines, police scanners, anonymous insider claims, mentions of a mental health crisis, theories about what happened inside the house, posts suggesting the staffer was Paige Shiver, pregnancy rumor threads that spread with no evidence again, none confirmed. But this is how scandals metastasize in real time. 8:30 p.m. Moore is booked into the Washtenaw County Jail. He is placed under mental health protective custody, not because of charges, there aren't any yet, but because the situation is bad enough that officials feel they need to take precautions. No bond set, no arraignment scheduled. The fall is complete, but the larger scandal, that's only beginning. Sherrone Moore didn't fall in a vacuum, because if you look at the man who hired him, the man who oversaw the program, you find something far darker. You find a pattern that follows Warde Manuel everywhere he goes. This isn't bad luck. This isn't coincidence. This is a man who leaves a trail of disaster behind him. Then go back to Michigan's darkest secret, Dr. Robert Anderson, a team doctor who abused athletes for decades. Manuel wasn't the AD then. Manuel's handling of the fallout was slow, cold, and widely condemned by survivors. A culture that protects the institution over the kids never dies quietly. Then, fast forward to Connor Stallions, the sign-stealing scheme, the scouting ring, the off-campus surveillance network nobody was supposed to uncover. It happened under Manuel's nose. Players, staff, analysts, a system built by obsessive advantage and zero oversight. Everywhere this man goes, scandal follows. Programs melt, cultures rot, and young athletes and teenagers are the ones stuck in the middle. Moore wasn't the first Michigan coach to implode. Start with Mel Pearson, Michigan hockey, a man whose program was later exposed for verbal abuse, retaliation, harassment. Then look at Juwan Howard, a culture that spiraled into shouting matches, on-court violence, and physical confrontations with his own staff. This is the pattern. When you choose poorly, you lead poorly. And when you lead poorly, kids get hurt, programs get destroyed, reputations burn. This isn't about one bad hire. This is about leadership that refuses to vet, refuses to act, and refuses to protect the people it's supposed to serve. Warde Manuel didn't just fail to stop the Moore disaster. He created the conditions for it. And when the bomb finally went off, Manuel acted shocked, but everyone else saw the truth. Michigan didn't have a Moore problem. It had a Manuel problem, and it's been there for years. The firing alone was brutal, but the timing is what turned it into a catastrophe. He was fired on December 10th after the early signing period. 22 signees locked in. No coach, no clarity, no warning. And let's not forget the $3 million quarterback, Bryce Underwood. 5-star, #1 quarterback in America, one of the most important recruits in Michigan history. LSU alumni are telling Underwood to come to LSU. Former LSU players are telling Underwood come to LSU. And Underwood, he took Michigan off his socials. And next, the 2026 class starts bleeding immediately. Within 24 hours, Zion Robinson, decommit. Dorian Barney, decommit. Brady Hart flips to Texas A&M. Analysts warn this could create a multi-year recruiting hole, a gap Michigan cannot fill overnight, a talent drop that lasts long after Moore is gone. And that's only half the fallout, because while recruiting collapses on one side, the transfer portal is opening on the other. When a head coach is terminated, every player on roster gets a special 30-day window to enter. The downfall happened in one day, but the fallout, that will hit Michigan for years. Sherrone Moore's fall happened in hours, but the damage he left behind will echo for years. This was the cost of leadership that stopped leading. Moore made his decisions. He owns them. But the environment around him, that didn't appear overnight. It was built. It was maintained. It was defended. And it's still here. Michigan can replace a coach. They can hire a new staff. They can rebuild a roster. But they cannot escape this fact. You can't fix a program until you fix the people running it. And until that happens, this won't be the last downfall. It'll just be the next chapter. If you want deep breakdowns of the stories schools don't want you to hear, from scandals to collapses to the nights everything changed, make sure you're subscribed to Locker Room Ledger. We tell the stories behind the headlines, the stories that get buried, the stories that matter. Here are the next ones you need to watch. The failed drug kingpin, Travis Henry, how an NFL star went from millionaire to drug empire and lost everything. The last flight of Kobe Bryant, the day basketball died when the last true competitor in the NBA passed.